Hey guys, Uma Pokey here, and this video is just gonna be a raw little footage that I kind of just feel like I want a little bit more closure with regards to my first ever experience playing the Taurus Cup in the Group A finals. I unfortunately did not manage to get first place, and at the end of the day, it's just a game, right? Yeah, it's just a game. It's not that deep about it, but this whole experience just really gave me like, oh my god, I don't think I felt this level of disappointment in like a very, very long time. And perhaps maybe that's just the way I am as a person, whether it comes to like in live or in gacha games. I just always want to give it my all, especially when my interest has been that high for something, right? Like if I am dedicated to something, I would really just give it my all. I will spare no quarters, which makes the failure, right, the taste of defeat, all that more unsatisfactory because I can't even re-attempt a champions meet, right? Unlike in Hongai Dario or Warring Waves or whatever it's gonna be, if you fail a run, you just redo again and again and again and again, which is what I can see from my main channel. I have no problem sweating, right, against Elden Ring, Black Myth, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. I don't give a damn. I will do my absolute best until I get it. But in champions meet and a lot of times in real life, the moment you fail, there's no such thing as redoing. So you're just gonna have to live with this sense of defeat, thinking to yourself, damn, this is it. And there's nothing you can do about it. And I think it really just boils down to the fact that I really gave this CM like my all. And also, oh my god, my heart rate was like completely going through the roof, especially towards the end. I just kind of wanted to use this video to just discuss what really happened, how I prepped going into this CM, and things to look forward to go into the future, and just gave myself a little bit better, essentially closure. Because, oh my god, I've been sitting on this for like the past 24 hours and I just cannot stop thinking about essentially what happened. Now, first things first is, as you guys can see, I did a obscene amount of careers trying to get my Ogly to the best of our capabilities. 65 career runs total, which was a ridiculous amount of time, to say the least, right? And on top of that, I also built up the other Go ship, which luckily for me, the Go ship actually came through very, very early on. So majority of my time prepping for this CM, it was purely on the Ogly. As you guys can see from my TP over here as well, I've basically used every single one of my TP potions. I really just slammed this game for like, holy shit, like 5 to 6 hours a day, every single day for the entire week straight. So not just Go ship, and not just Ogly. I also try to cook up the parents, the grandparents, waiting for a refresh on the borrow, and planning exactly how this strat was gonna go, which was, if in this case, I do wanted to make use of my Haru Urara, right? Which essentially reduces the pace of the race, allows me to trigger any of my speed skills, or having more acceleration of the power, which will allow me to basically destroy most of the Umas. At the end of the day, the plan technically it should have honestly worked, because I basically did a little bit of a simulation for my Ogly against the opponents the other day, and by almost every single metric, this should have worked. It really just comes down to the very start of the race, where if we are able to get ourselves the playtime is over, triggering the Professor of Curvature, getting Tail How High ramp up, this would have given my Ogly such a massive lead against the opposing Agnes, to the point where I would have established a far, far wider lead, which means that the goal ship towards them, they actually won my Ogly. It was almost close to impossible for them to actually win. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, umamusume is like they always say, right, is a weird game. So as you can see over here, going back into the race, we are gonna be proccing all of our skills from Harurula, but my Ogly did not proc a single skill, unfortunately, which means we did not get playtime is over. We did not get the medium straightaways, and we procced our curvature really, 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 really late. Like super, super late, to the point where the Agnes was at this point about half a length away, and she started to ramp up all the way towards the end, which I believe she also procced her own skill from there, right? And then from this point of the race, I just never really recovered because I couldn't proc my playtime, and medium straightaways just did not activate at all. So the entire strategy sort of just collapsed, because the whole point, and we got rushed, so It is what it is. To be fair, the rush actually did me a little bit of a favor because we technically made use of the additional speed to go up in front. And due to Haru Urara's domain expansion, the stamina consumption was not that gonna be big of a deal. But unfortunately, my Ogre just could never find the playtime is over on medium straight away to get herself the lead above the Agnes. Which meant that towards the end of the race, as you guys have probably seen by now, the Ghost Ship found the acceleration, found the speed to outpace my Ogre, because at that point, the enemy Ghost Ship was basically running against a normal Ogre, right? My Ogre, unfortunately, did not manage to make use of any of the benefits that my Haru Urara actually created, and to be completely fair, my opponent also built their horses very, very well. One of the biggest winners to Haru Urara is that if the enemy has a decent number of power, they are not going to be getting outsped that easily, which towards the end over here, he's going to be able to chase up. And even though I'm going to be proccing playtime is over, I got one acceleration skill off of Rage Shift, which a little bit unfortunate we couldn't get shooting for victory as well. But at this point, Triumphant Pulse is going to proc a little bit too late, and the Ghost Ship is just going to go ahead and establish the dominance. And the match was pretty much over. And you can see, I literally could not even believe that this was happening. So at this point, technically the race was already over, like towards the middle race, where we didn't get any of our skills. He wins this, and you can see from my heart rate, god damn. Yeah, I was not okay, man. I was really not okay when Ghost Ship actually won the Ogre, because yeah, how do my Ogre strategy, it should have worked, but it just didn't work. The biggest recipient for this entire Haru Urara domain expansion was for my Ogre to win. I actually didn't have too much of a benefit for my Ghost Ship, because the way that Haru Urara works is that once the lucky setter pace is removed, my Ogre should just outstat the opponent as well as outskill, which will give her the additional acceleration towards the front. Whereas my Ghost Ship in a Haru Urara domain expansion, you can see from the actual race itself, she's gonna be at a wrong pace, right? Essentially, because she's not gonna be maintaining 6 out of 9, which means I can't really proc Let's Palm some iron, and her angles away is gonna be way too delayed, and sometimes it doesn't even trigger at all. So my Ghost Ship over here is actually more of like an insurance in a scenario in which I do not proc my Haru Urara. So if they're going to be running front runners, my Ghost Ship will be the highest probability to win. And if I do manage to get my Haru Urara domain expansion up, then my Ogre is going to have the highest chance to win. So that was my entire plan going into this Champions Meet. And yes, I really spent a lot of time researching how this strategy works. Despite the comments, despite some of you guys thinking this only works against casuals, you know, I don't really know what I'm doing. I know for a fact this would work, but hey, at the end of the day, right? So that's gonna be like my reflection as well as breakdown exactly what happened to this Champions Meet. And I kind of just want to use this opportunity to discuss my feelings towards the race and why I'm so down about it. So as you guys would know by now, in Umamusume, you can plan everything you want in life to try and get that Champions Meet to work, trying to get the grandparents, parents, white spark farming, praying for the inheritance, praying for the medium S, long S, whatever else it's gonna be. But during the race itself, no amount of preparation can change some of these certain outcomes, because it just didn't work. Now from my end, I definitely could have improved as well. So for example, getting Lone Wolf onto Haru Urara to prevent the opposing Ghost Ship from triggering Lone Wolf, which even after I factor into the skill consideration, she should have still lost. Assuming that my Ogre actually proc the skills, I would have still won the opponent Ghost Ship. But it is what it is. And having more wit checks, right? I think 360, 370 wit is going to be a little bit on the lower end, which definitely contributed to the probability where my Ogre did not proc skills, because wit is basically like a crit chance to actually get those skills actually point in the first place. So going forward into the next CM, I'm definitely going to be looking for at least getting my debuffer or my utility card to have the Lone Wolf, getting my aces to be around 400-ish speed. But to be fair, Gemini Cup is going to be a very, very heavy speed and power, speed and stamina check. So we'll see how that goes. When the race day happens and RNG decides to give you whatever kind of Uma it was, it really just gave me such a sense of despair and dread, knowing that I did all these things, doing my absolute best to try to get a win for my first Champions Meet, for my Umas, which, okay, at this point is like a little bit parasocial, but I like to imagine like every single one of my training runs with Ogre. Maybe not all 65, because I did play a couple of careers at the start of a run, but I would say at least 50 of these career runs. Every single day, it's like I was preparing with Ogre, training with her, you know, eating with her, making me go bankrupt because she has such a massive appetite. And after preparing so much for this, only for the actual race day, for my plan to not go as intended. Because umamusume's races, they are literally beyond your control, right? If they want to proc the skill, they proc the skill. If they matchmake you with the opponents that, just stat checks you or have a better build than yours, then it really is what it is. And to know that after trying so hard for, I would say, like 1 week, right? More than 1 week actually, and on top of the actual runs I've done for this game, trying to learn the game from scratch, because I am a day one player in global server. Right? I did not ever play JP before. I did not ever play Taiwan or like a Korean server. This is like the first time ever I played Umamusume, and I really, really gave this my everything. Right? You guys have seen from my other channel, I mainly cover games like Honkai Star Rail. A couple of times we played Xenozones or One Waves and all that kind of stuff. But for this period when umamusume came out, I fell in love with this game so much, to the point where I literally made a second dedicated channel, which is as you guys see over here. Because after watching the anime, playing the game itself, knowing how it's like, where like the feeling of like looking at your girls win, going to the stage, singing the songs and everything, it really, really gave me such a sense of joy that, oh my god, I have not felt this way about like a game for a very, 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 very long time. And so I just decided to go all in, right? I decided to make a lot of guides for you guys. You guys see from the evil nature. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this game. So I decided I'm gonna give this my everything. Alright, you guys have seen from our evil nature guides, our inheritance, did a couple of beginner guides, or I try to teach you guys the Harura domain strategy as well. But at the end of everything, after all of these time, energy, effort spent, if life just decides to say, okay, you know what, you're not going to win this race, then you just don't win. I could have definitely done more on my end as well, and there's always another CM, right? This is at the end, it's just a race, right? It's just a race. But now I really see from this experience why the Umas in the anime, like, they will like cry and they will like really go like schizo, and they completely lose it and crash out over a race. Like, especially when I just finished Umamusume season 1, a special week is like she really was like losing it because she didn't win. And to a certain extent I can relate, because I said this thing on my own stream as well. I actually do canoeing when I was like actually a little bit younger, probably when I was like 15 or 16. So my personal story, just to summarize everything, is that I was also in the finals, and during the final result of the race, I lost the placement by 0.47 seconds. I don't know what could have happened during the race itself, and I don't know if I could have squeezed out a little bit more muscles or a little bit more endurance if I just did one more rep at the gym, ran one more lap at the track, or just did anything else. But the fact that I lost a competitive race in my career, in my real life career as a real life human being, by 0.47 seconds, this race, it really just gave me that flashback as to, you tried your absolute hardest and you didn't win. And now I'm starting to doubt myself as a individual, that what if I just did more? Like, what if I just squeezed out a little bit? What if I, instead of playing 7 hours, I play 8 hours every single day? I just did a little bit more carrots refresh to try to grind a little bit more runs for Ogre. What if I just got myself the additional wit and don't rely on like the 360 or 370 wit? What if in another world, I get the Turf S, which would have given my Ogre the additional power to get our acceleration to a little bit faster than the Agnes as well, right? And all these what ifs comes into my mind because of what happened in this Champions Meet. Now, of course, this is at the end of the day a gacha game, and I don't think it's going to be that deep about it. But it really put into perspective of what I could have done back in those days, so that potentially a different result might have happened. Because there are still variables within my control, and I feel that there will always be this doubt in my mind where because of something that I didn't do, things became the way it is. I'm not going to talk about the RNG, whether my skill is pro, whether I got a good opponent, whether they proc Lone Wolf, because those are out of my control, right? Not as a trainer, but basically as a human being, as anyone that's playing this game, or like in life, things that are beyond your control, you don't really have to worry about it. So the only thing I can worry about is things that are within my control. And the fact that this horse gacha game made me relive all those moments is yeah, it was really really depressing. It was really really depressing. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say about this. Going forward, we are gonna be getting Gemini Cup, and unfortunately, I have slammed all of my TPs, so I don't even know if I'm gonna be that locked in for the next one anymore. But I'm just afraid that if I were to try super 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 hard again, only for life to just decide, nah, you're not gonna get this win, then like, what's the point? So I'm gonna still try. Hopefully we get a little bit more of a better matchmaking, I guess. Hopefully I get my aces. I've really been working on the next guy that's coming for Gemini Cup. It's basically something about a debuffer, so look forward to that. To my brand new community in umamusume, thank you so much for checking out Pogi's content. You guys have been a wonderful, wonderful little community, and we are gonna be closing in 10,000 subs. So yippee, very very nice. That is pretty much all I wanted to say. All the best for your next upcoming CM, and hopefully this video, maybe when I look back at it a couple of months, maybe even a couple of years down in the future, I'll just say, oh my god, this Pogi is so silly for thinking this deep about losing a literal CM. So we'll see how it goes, right? Time will tell. Yep, that's pretty much it. See ya.